People who've attended weddings where someone objected. What happened? My one cousin's wedding. This was in Ireland, so not the States. The weddings are very religious over there if you are a Catholic. We were just sitting there while the priest was talking. One of his friends got up and said Connor, not his real name. I should have told you earlier, but she slept with me and one of our mutual cousins. He claimed he wouldn't be a good Catholic if he let it slide. Everyone gasped, and both my cousins pressed hi monsieur. His story crumbled like crazy. My uncle punched him in the face, and we waited like 45 minutes. The priest said, I don't endorse violence, but he deserved it. The wedding continued, and all went well. Only other thing that happened is cops took statements from a few people including my uncle and the priest who didn't leave yet. My brother's best friend was about to get married when his ex objected. She meant it was a sin and completely wrong to get married with another woman, as she and my brother's friend had a child together. What happened? Their child, 11 years old girl, started crying and yelling that the only reason she, the ex, aka the mom, was invited was because she, the child, begged that her mom could attend. We often laugh out that the kid didn't get her moral compass from her mother's side. That feeling when the child is more mature than the mom. SMH. Not an objection per se, but apparently when my mom and dad got married, my then 4-year-old cousin had learned a new word. At the point where they say, speak now or forever hold your peace, a little voice piped up in the quiet part with, oh, shit. My mom said it was probably her favorite part of the wedding. Fun fact. The actual wording of the question asks if anybody knows any lawful reason why the marriage should not take place. In other words, if one of them is already married, or one is underage, or if the marriage is being forced, etc. She can't marry him because she's in love with me. Only happens in the movies. Next wedding I'm at. Priest. Does anyone know any lawful reason these two should not be married today? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Me. Your fathership. I know of no less than 500 counts of this here groom jaywalking in his 30 years of walking so far. Not only must he consider himself an outlaw to society, but he is opening his bride up to an immense financial liability if he were to continue flaunting the laws we hold so sacred. Let's say they both live till death do them part at 90. I project he'll jaywalk another 1,500 times minimum, which could carry with it approximately $150,000 in fines and who knows how many court fees and relationship strains down the road. A road the groom has most certainly crossed illegally. Your bishopness. I rest my case. Go for it. Make sure someone gets a video. I didn't know these people then, but some of my friends who work at Disney did a wedding where they all had a part to play to make the wedding as chaotic, stereotypical as possible. There was the child who tasted the cake before everyone else ate, the drunk uncle, the people who proposed at the wedding, the underdressed cousin who made it all about themselves, the objector, the crashers, and a bunch more. There were like 100 people there. It really seemed like a fun wedding that only a bunch of theater kids could pull off. Do you think they did that so that if something did go wrong they wouldn't even notice? Absolutely. They're a really good group of people. Very healthy and fun to be around. I wouldn't be surprised if the idea started as a way to cope with stressing about having a perfect wedding. Probably not quite what you're expecting, but funny all the same. Scene. A family member had their wedding at a nice park in front of a lake with geese in it. Priest. If anyone should object, please. Goose. Honk. HOOOONK. Asterisk scuffling and fighting with another goose. Asterisk. Thankfully, everyone managed to stifle their laughs. Still the only thing I remember about their wedding. It's their fault for inviting a goose to the wedding. Not necessarily objected, however. I was about to marry my beloved when officers arrived and told me that I needed to go with The monsieur I was just as confused as my guests but went with them, saying that it was likely a misunderstanding. Little did I know that I had been framed for being a part of the Bonapartist faction. Another's man jealousy had landed me in jail. My accusers wanted me to fail but I pushed forward. Using my wits, I made my escape. I had learned that not only had 14 years passed since I was incarcerated, but my father had actually died and my beloved Mercedes had married another and had actually had a child with Hi Monsieur. My face had altered dramatically. I could barely recognize my own reflection. I used this to my advantage as I plotted vengeance against my accusers. Is that you, Dantes? I'm afraid so, Fernand Mondego. Bride reluctantly invited her very racist mother whom she was estranged from at her family's insistence. Objected because whites can't mix with blacks and all that. I will never understand people like that. Someone stood up and shouted, "Please stop posting this question every other day." Quote, "Damn, they must marry very often. They keep trying, but people keep objecting. Nothing. The mom was a crazy jealous lady and of course the husband was mature enough not to let anything ruin his or his wife's big day, so in the end he no longer speaks to her for disrespecting him and his wife. Some moms are so controlling and toxically jealousy that they can't see past their jealousy and feel entitled for their needs to be met before their own adult kids' needs. The only thing you can do is cut all ties with them. A lot of moms ruin their sons' lives just because they want their needs met. I've seen many miserable boys marry girls their moms choose only to live a life longing for the one they let go to, so I'm glad this guy did the right thing. Guys, take notes. This happened to me. After the wedding my mom went nuts, trying to sabotage our marriage, etc. She thought I was going to take her side instead of my wife. That was a costly gamble on her part. Saved my kids from a crazy grandparent though, lol. When I imagined my married life as a kid I didn't account for the stalking order against my mother. Lol. I wonder how common this is because it happened to me also. My mom erupted during the reception though because she was not allowed some extreme demands. For instance, we did not let her wear a white dress that she wanted to wear. She wanted to sit at the bride and groom's table during the reception, and so on. She stormed out of the reception saying that we were terrible for not letting her do these things, and left. To say the least, my wife and I cut ties. We are so happy. I've done AV work for churches as a side gig ever since high school. So I've worked at tons of weddings at several different churches with many different officiants. It's a nice way to earn a few bucks just for sitting at a soundboard for an hour. I don't believe I have ever heard the "forever hold your peace" question asked in real life. I asked a preacher about it once. He said, "What good could possibly come from asking that?" Quote, "There are definitely weddings where it does happen. The normal, modern Protestant weddings in the US? It's not a requirement, and certainly not as common as movies and TV would have you think. Greater than, what good could possibly come from asking that?" Quote, "If the groom really is a cheating bastard, and somebody knows about it, it's better to ruin the wedding than have a short, painful marriage and an ugly divorce. It's also better to raise your objections privately before the wedding though. At my wedding we didn't give people the chance to object. If you don't think we should be together you can keep it to your damn self, lol. Fair, but like what if your so was cheating on you and someone knew, and they waited till the wedding to tell them? It's possible. Maybe at that moment they'd realize they probably shouldn't keep that secret any longer. I don't know how people work but I bet someone would." Yeah, my friend got up and said, "I object because the service isn't rad enough." Then shot off fireworks from his wrists. Obviously that couldn't happen, but wouldn't it be cool? I've posted this before but whatever. Okay, my sister and her best friend went to a mutual friend's wedding and they told me this story. Everything was going normally and the bride walked down the aisle and it was all good. Then the officiator asked if anyone had any objections and the best man came forward and just started roasting the bride like he held nothing back. So the groom got really upset and was like, "Why are you insulting my wife?" So the best man answered, "She's not your wife yet." It went back and forth for a bit before the best man shouted, "I'm effing in love with you, Derek." The whole place went silent like in a movie. Then the maid of honor dragged the best man away and they continued on with the wedding like nothing happened. I remember seeing this before and it was just as funny to read again. So my fiancé and I were having our wedding rehearsal when my ex showed up with our old group of friends. My ex shot and killed my fiancé and myself. I was soaked in blood in my white dress on the hardwood church floor. Before he gave me the final blow, I told him I was pregnant with his child. I blacked out, fell into a coma, and woke up 4 years later. Bro, what is this from BC? I honestly genuinely don't know. Sad face. Kill Bill. The bride turned out to be an ogre and the groom was eaten by a dragon. Bro, I think I was at the same wedding. Steve Harwell was there too. At a gay wedding, the sister of one of the grooms stood up and yelled that marriage is a man and a woman. She got kicked out. This isn't really an objection, more like a funny story. But I was at this wedding one time and my uncle was one of the groom's men. He had a chance to speak, but before he could, my 3-year-old cousin ran up to him and gave him a big hug. Everyone started laughing, and we told a couple good stories about it. Favorite part of the wedding? Not really an objection, but when my mom and dad got married I was around 3 and brought this Iron Man toy. I really liked that. Said various things when you press the power core thingy. I got up to go to the bathroom and asked my grandma to hold the toy while I went. Apparently in the middle of the ceremony, my grandpa accidentally pushed the button and a very loud "I am Iron Man" came out in a silent moment of the ceremony. My mom and dad's wedding. So I was supposed to be the flower girl, but they didn't want flowers and so I just got a dress and a bouquet and my nails painted, so nothing very fancy. My parents didn't want a huge wedding, so it was just 30 to 40 people there and most of them were bikers. Their guest books were pieces of wood from a tree trunk. It was cool. Anyway, my aunt and uncle helped us. They were cousins and just got divorced. And the whole thing lasted like 2 hours. That's it. It was the most boring wedding ever. The best part was when I got out of the dress and into comfy clothes and rolled down the giant hill in the back of the place. Your aunt and uncle were cousins who married each other and later divorced. Sweet Home Alabama. Ah, thank you. They really glossed right over that one, huh? How does this have anything to do with the question? Hold on, cousins. The bride, who was deaf, had asked her ex's dad to marry her. The ex, Matt, went to her fiancé's, Mason, bachelor party and found out that he had another girlfriend and was cheating on her. The night before the wedding, Matt tried to tell the bride, Heather, not to marry Mason and ended up kissing her. She told him not to go to the wedding even though his whole large family was there. The day of the wedding he showed up and objected and she ran off with him in his old Camaro. And the truth came out. It was kind of a cliffhanger. What movie is this? Seventh Heaven, the TV show, I believe. The whole place went wild and people broke out in fights. Lol, it was weird. One time when I was around 8 or 9 I was at a wedding in a nice chapel near a big castle. This redhead was getting married to this short guy with long black hair. The priest had already asked if anyone objected and he said, "You may kiss the bride," but then this tall, fat, green guy busted through the doors and yelled, "I object." Quote, basically, he had developed feelings for the girl on this trip he took with her and he thought she felt the same way and was settling with a short guy. In the end, the green guy and the redhead got married and I think like a monster or something ate the short guy. IDK, it was crazy. Fuck all, because the best man took him outside and the bois kicked TGE shit out of him. No one objected at my wedding, but I wish they did. Divorced after 9 months after I caught her cheating. I objected but they made me marry her anyways. I really wanted to object to my uncle's wedding because my aunt treats him like shit. Question wasn't asked. I didn't want to be part of the wedding, but of course I wound up being part of it. It was legit one of the cringiest experiences I've been a part of. My aunt wanted a specific dress but refused to help my mom find it, and was mad when my mom had a different dress on. Same color but different style. It was also done super cheap. I get it, weddings are expensive, but come on, if you're going to only budget not even 1K for everything, including the party, then might as well just go to the courthouse, get married and use the money for a huge party. Some context: my uncle alone made 6 figures a year before retiring, so spending some money on the wedding wouldn't bankrupt them. My grandma didn't like it either. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.